One night, Frances got a call from John, her best friend. He called her because he was sick and lonely and needed someone to talk to, and there was no one to talk to. And the girl was the only one with whom the man could share everything that was going on in his soul. He was not a secret admirer of her, not waiting for the right moment to get out of the friend zone, not trying to get her attention or just to attract. And it was mutual, nor did Frances have a love affair. Once they worked together, and John often helped her out. He told her who she should trust and who she should be careful with, put in a good word for her with the management, helped her with the project. Even when she was in the hospital, he was the only one who came from the staff. He brought her favorite oranges. Frances wrote to him occasionally, giving him advice on her work. He wrote her too, mostly when he was feeling terrible. He had girlfriends, but he didn't want to talk to them about problems. They had the wrong kind of relationship. John told the girls right away that he wasn't going to build a serious relationship yet, and they were fine together for now, but with hopes and plans, please leave. The girls didn't mind, but every once in a while, if he got too comfortable, someone would try to get close. Sometimes they asked if he could stay the night, but he wasn't a fan of that for several reasons. To start with, after a great night out, he liked to be alone with himself and his thoughts. Then he had a lot of work during the day, and when someone nearby sniffled or tossed, it distracted him or he didn't get enough sleep that night. And then the girls started to increase their territory. When he was going to sit with his friends, they asked to be there too. Like, "Your friends can be mine. I would like to know them, especially since you spend a lot of time with them." And it made him really mad. What did he and his friends have to do with it? He wants to see them, and he has no serious plans with the girl, so why make unnecessary acquaintances, especially with people close to him? And then the conversations would start, like when she would meet her mother, her parents. Or the girl just slowly began to move, leaving in his apartment, then one thing, then another, and all allegedly by accident and forgetfulness. And then it was followed by the fact that he did not pay attention to the lady, and so on and so on. Each time it was the same. Only certain factors changed: eye color, hair color, shape of face, nose, figure, and other things. And then he stopped remembering such little things at all. But when he felt bad, he called not a girl, but a friend. He would ask her to come over or offer to come himself. They would order pizza with mushrooms and tomatoes and drink black tea. Frances always listened to him and didn't interrupt, hoping he would feel better if he talked. The man complained that he was tired of the routine in his life, tired of the consistency that went on day after day. He liked to enjoy life, to be surprised every day by something new and previously unknown. But he has seen a lot, tried a lot, and stopped being surprised a long time ago. Gone was the excitement and interest from his life, having clearly forgotten his way back to it. The girl didn't answer much, because she thought it was better to let him spit it out and she would listen. He would feel better already, and there was no need for discussion. John even gave her advice on how not to annoy guys. That if a guy didn't want to come to his place, ask him to spend the night, ask him to stay over. The man said he thought her friend was very pretty, and she probably has as many boyfriends as he does girls. He gave advice on how to go on a date, suggesting different variations: go to a club, buy paints and paint on each other's bodies, creating body art, go to some very unusual place. He listed many more ways to impress on a date, and just spend time in a way that would be memorable for both of them. He talked a lot, and he knew what he was talking about. He was enlightened and experienced in such matters. But the scary thing was that none of the girls really interested him. There was fleeting sympathy, but nothing more. Frances could feel his apathy with every fiber of her being. Disappointment, pain, resentment, sadness, all the things the man was spilling out, pressed down on her with a huge, massive slab, and pressed her against the wall with each time. "Do you know why I didn't come on to you? And I'm not going to do it again?" He asked an unexpected question, and the girl froze, unable even to move. She looked at the man in mute question. "You are beautiful and clever, but when I saw you, I wondered how you could surprise me. And unfortunately, I found no answer." He shook his curly head, and in his once lively eyes there was an emptiness, cold and freezing. That should have offended her, but the girl shrugged indifferently. She didn't really want to argue. John kept staring, as if waiting for something to happen. She only replied that she was surprised that she wasn't trying to surprise anyone. She finished her slice of pizza, chatted with her friend about more nonsense, and started to get ready. It was like she was in a hurry to get somewhere. Thoughts of her friend's words settled in her head, that a man had to be surprised every time, and only then would he be held, and the memory of frosty eyes sent shivers down her spine. Then she remembered the face of her beloved Fred. A smile immediately lit up her face. Remembering the man she loved already made her happy. For some reason, she did not tell John about her relationship. In fact, she hadn't told anyone, not even her best friend, her sister, her mother. She wanted to keep it a secret. It seemed that if someone told her, someone else would come into their lives, who would try to build everything according to his bidding, would occupy the position of regulator, would move their stars, drain lakes with beautiful magical mermaids and magical creatures, trample all the golden-winged fairies, scare the houses, and go on the attack on the magnificent and beloved dragon. As she looked up into the sky, she wondered how long she could keep her beloved with her. She doesn't have as much imagination as John. She would not be able to come up with something so original. She arrived at the rendezvous point with her man a full 15 minutes early. Fred, however, was already standing there, and then he carefully invited her into the interior of the car. It was raining, tapping the march on the car window. The man turned on the heater and gently placed his beloved's feet in his lap to warm them with his hot palms. And when the rain stopped, they went for a walk through the streets, over the bridge, which seemed like a big fire-breathing lizard that had fallen on its back and spread its powerful, wiry wings. Then they kissed in the phone booth, which had not been used for its intended purpose for a long time because it was not working. And when it rained again, they joked that it was their shelter, that no one would touch them here and find them. Then, before the rain caught up with them, they quickly ran to the store with delicious ice cream. Like little children, they soaked themselves and smeared each other with the sweet mass. They felt good and had fun together. And when they were already in his apartment, the girl looked into her lover's eyes and the world stopped for her. She wanted to drown in those heavenly eyes and stay in the blue abyss forever. She melted at any slightest touch of him on her skin. Her heart beat with his in unison. She was never conscious of her actions, and she didn't know if she was doing everything right. She just dissolved into him, enjoyed the moment, just loved him. She loved it when they stood like that on the balcony and watched the sunset. Though it could hardly be called mere contemplation. It was as if they were drinking it in small sips, filling every cell of their bodies with new warmth and golden light. Fred could see right through her, so he gently put his arm around her waist from the back and pressed her against his broad chest and asked what was troubling her. Frances did not conceal it. She told it as it was, refraining from saying her name. It was unnecessary. It was unlikely that the men would ever cross paths. They were from two different worlds. It was not right to keep secrets from each other in their relationship. They wanted to know each other and understand what each other was going through. The girl told him what she was worried about. After all, she was not so advanced in a love relationship and often just gave herself to her feelings for Fred without thinking or analyzing at all. She said she was unlikely to come up with something new and interesting every time. Concern reflected in her eyes. The man gently replied that he did not need to. He simply loved her and would love her as she was, and without this confusing stuff. They stood for a while longer, enjoying the beautiful view of the setting sun, leaving golden red marks on the walls of the houses. This phenomenon has been going on for years, centuries, millennia, but each sunset is not like the last. Each sunset is beautiful in its own way. You always want to capture and leave a beautiful moment as a memory. Many people like to admire these rays or take pictures of them. Frances felt the man standing behind her, stroking her silky hair, covered in the golden glow of the rays. "You know," the girl began thoughtfully, turning to her lover and stroking his strong hands on her fragile waist. "I think I understand why he needs to be surprised every time." She turned slowly toward her lover and looked into his heavenly eyes, which had taken on a reddish hue because of the reflection of the sunset in them. His eyes reflected the whole city, from the people to the buildings, and everything took on a very different appearance, even something magical and fantastical. She would never cease to be amazed at the beauty of those eyes, the eyes she loved. She put her palm on her lover's cheek and continued quietly in a whisper, "It's from the fact that he's never loved any of them.